problem number 39, and we're given a function that is x squared in the interval of -2 to 1. So a is -2 and b is 1. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find g of c slope using fb minus fa over b minus a. So fb is just using x squared, putting these numbers in for that. So b1 squared minus, and this is -2 is a, and you really need to put the -2 in parentheses because the calculator will not recognize the negative sign unless you do. And that'll be squared there, over, and then b is 1, minus a, which is -2, which of course is positive 3. Maybe change the signs over. And this is going to give you then 1 minus 4, which is -3 on top, 1 plus 2, which is positive 3 on bottom. And so your slope is -1. Okay, now another way you can find g of c is by taking the derivative of that curve, which we show at the top there of that diagram. So we'll do another g sub c, and this time we're just going to derive it. So this becomes 2x. I'm sorry, I should use s, I should use c. My bad. It's a bad habit I got into. This, everything's in terms of c now. So we replace x with c, so now we have 2c with derive it. That was c squared, that becomes 2c. And we know that these two are equal, so this -1 goes right there. Because they're parallel lines. And so, divide by 2, c equals -1/2. There's your answer. Pretty amazing. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at number 41. We now have the function of x is x to the 2/3 power in the interval 0 to 1. So, g prime of c is going to equal to the function of b, which is 1 to the 2/3 power. And if you don't know what that is, punch it in your calculator, that is 1, minus the function of a, which is 0 to any power, is 0. Except 0 to the 0 power is 1. Everything else is 0, but that's 1. Anyway. Then we go b minus a, which is 1 minus 0, so this is positive 1 for the slope of the tangent at c. So now we do the same thing with that. So we're going to say g prime of c is going to equal to the derivative of that. So 2/3 goes in front. And then times x. And then 2/3 minus 3/3 is -1/3. And we know that's going to equal 1. So we got a little algebra to do, nothing too crazy. So we get rid of the 2/3, we multiply both sides by 3/2. So that gives us x to the -1/3 equals 3/2. And we want to change that to x to the first part. Well, see, I did it again. Crazy, man. All right, let's get the c back in there, my bad. C to the -1/3 power. So that gives us c to the -1/3 equals 3/2, but we need c, not c to the -1/3. So we take this to the -3 power because -1/3 times -3 is 1. So we take this to the -3rd power. And so this gives us c here. Now, let's make sure we understand what the negative sign means. That means you're going to flip that to 2/3. And then we're going to cube both numbers. So this 2 goes on top, 2 to the 3rd power is 8. This goes on bottom, 3 to the 3rd power is 27. And 8/27 is indeed between 0 and 1. Beautiful. Okay, next problem, number 43. Okay, so I rewrote this to get rid of the radical and get the 1/2. Okay, so that means that G prime of C is going to equal to, okay, so the function of B, so 2 goes there, 2 minus 2 is 0, square root of 0 is 0, minus function of A, that's -7, 2 minus -7 is 2 plus 7, which is 9, square root of 9 is 3, over B, which is 2, minus A, which is -7, and we're going to go ahead and change that to plus a positive 7. And so this becomes -3 over 9, which is reduced to -1/3. So we know the slope of the tangent at point C is going to have a slightly downward slope of -1/3. So now we'll do G prime of C again. I'm going to replace this X with C. I promise this is going to become then, I'm going to put a C here. So divide that, the 1/2 comes down. That's going to make this 2 minus C, and then subtract 1 or 2/2, it gives me -1/2, times the derivative of what's inside here, using the chain rule here, and that gives us -1. So if I make one coherent fraction out of this is going to be a negative fraction. On top is going to be 1. On the bottom is going to be 2. And this will be 2 minus C to the 1/2 power. And we know that that value is going to equal -1/3. Well, we're going to make life a whole lot easier for us just by getting rid of the stinking negative signs that are getting our way here. So now I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to multiply 1 times 3, which is 3, and 2 times 2 minus C to the 1/2 power times 1 is 2 times 2 minus C to the 1/2 power. Okay. Now I'm going to move the 2 over here so we get this radical by itself. So divide by 2, that gives me 3/2 equals 2 minus C to, excuse me, 1/2 power. And I want to get rid of that 1/2 there, so I'm going to square. I don't like this board at all. I'm crazy again. Okay. I'll do it regularly. I don't like by using different colors. Square both sides. Can't wait till I retire. All right, so that gives me 9/4 on the left-hand side. These cancel out because 2 times 1/2 is 1, so 2 minus C. I'm going to change that to decimal 2.25. And now I'm going to add -2 to both sides. That gives me 0.25 equals -C. Don't forget that negative sign there when you do this algebra. And then multiply everything by -1. And my answer is C is equal to -0.25. And is that between the two limitations there? It is. It is between -7 and +2. So that works. So -0.25 or -1/4 will be my answer. You could have left it in fractional form. I like this. Last one is a trigonometry one. Now, this is actually a pretty simple one. This won't take me very long to do. If they all stay like this, that'd be great. G prime of X is going to be f of B. So the sine of pi is 0 minus the sine of 0, which is 0. Wow, that's a tough one. It really doesn't make a difference if it goes on down there, but we'll do it anyway. This is pi minus 0 and 0 over anything except for 0 will be 0. Okay? So now, again, let's not use g of x, let's use g of c. My bad, g prime of c. Bad habits, bad habits. Alright, so, another way of finding g of c is by taking the derivative of that, changing the x to c. X to c. Woo-hoo-hoo. This is going to be then the derivative of sine is cosine of c. And that is going to equal to 0. So, when does c become 0 in between 0 and pi? Well, if you remember, you can punch this out and calculate it, inverse cosine of 0. Or you can remember that cosine is at 0 degrees is 1, and at 90 degrees is 0, and 90 degrees is pi over 2, because pi is 180. So see here, pi over 2. There's your answer. And that's how you use the mean value theorem. So, your assignment, page 177, 40 through 46. Have fun.